Okay, sick leave entitlements in Ireland under Irish law. This is a common enough question that many people will face, either as an employer or as an employee. Essentially, the question is an employer obliged to pay sick pay? Situation is that there is no statutory entitlement in Irish law to be paid while you're out of work due to illness. However, provision can be made for this in the contract of employment, so it really depends on the agreement made between the employer and employee at the outset. And the employer then is obliged to provide this information to the employee once he starts work under the Terms of Employment Information Act of 1994. So the employer is obliged to give certain pieces of information to the employee. I think it's within 8 weeks of starting work, and one of the pieces of information is the situation in relation to sick pay and what happens if the employee is out sick. Now, if the employee is out sick, he may or she may well qualify for illness benefit from the Department of Social Protection. But that's a matter then between the employee, obviously, and the department, and that'll depend on how many PRSI contributions the employee has made. There may well be an agreement then between the employer and employee that if the contract of employment provides for sick pay, then the employer will expect any sick benefit to be paid over to her. So the employer is paying sick pay, and if the employee also receives illness benefit, well then the employer will be looking to offset that against his or her sick pay payments. The contract of employment then is very, very important in any employer-employee relationship, because it should provide clear rules and procedures surrounding the whole question of absence due to sickness or illness. So this is pretty common in the employment, in the place of employment. It should cover, for example, the procedure surrounding the provision of a medical certificate. How often should it be provided? And it may also provide for the employee to be seen then by the company doctor to ascertain whether the employee is fit to return to work, or when he or she may be likely to be fit to return to work. Many people think that it's not possible to terminate the contract of employment, in other words, get rid of somebody while the employee is out sick. However, this isn't true. It is possible, but it needs to be handled very, very carefully from the employer's perspective. So I would recommend that you take professional advice if you are indeed the employer. The question then of injuries and accidents at work, well, the employee may well qualify for injury benefit from the Department of Social Protection. And clearly the employee can also then bring a claim against the employer for personal injuries sustained in the workplace, or indeed whilst carrying out work, even away from the workplace. In relation then to public holidays and annual leave, well, the employee is entitled to time off in lieu of time on sick leave during public holidays and annual leave. So if you're on sick leave, you have a certificate from a medical professional saying that you're sick during a public holiday or whilst you're on your annual holidays, then you're actually entitled to time off in lieu of that time. There is industry-specific sick leave though. So what I've spoken about up to now is the general situation in most, sort of private industry. However, some workers, for example, public servant workers, have better entitlements than what I've discussed up to now. There are sick leave pay schemes in place in many industries, including, for example, for the guards and teachers and nurses and so on. So they may also then, in addition to paid sick leave, be entitled to an extra period of unpaid sick leave. For more information about employment law generally and employment rights in Ireland, the employer's obligations, etc., the employment contract, you can visit businessandlegal.ie, and you can pick up a free employment law report there. It's called the 16 Common Mistakes That Tend to Cost Employers Money. Thank you for watching.